so much. I love you so much. I love you so much. I love you so much.
Hello, all you positive heads out there. Thanks for tuning your beautiful brainwaves into another episode of the Positive Head Podcast, where we are firmly convinced that creating success and happiness is rooted in understanding the ultimate nature of reality and the fact that as human beings, we are all immensely powerful fractals of the one and only source consciousness, which creates and animates all things. Now, of course, understanding this powerful truth is one thing. Applying this incredibly empowering wisdom to everyday life? Well, that's another, which is exactly why we provide you with a fresh serving of soul food for thought 5 days a week to help constantly remind you of what matters most. You are it. And I'm your host, Brandon Beecham. I'm the reflection and extension of you who will be here each Wednesday interviewing a different consciousness changemaker. And on the other 4 weekdays, leading the way to ensure that your perspective is consistently expanded, your vibration is constantly elevated, and your heart is overflowing and full. Also, this episode of the Positive Head Podcast is being brought to you thanks to the support of Gaia. If you're not familiar, Gaia is the go-to source for streaming consciousness content online, and you can sign up for your first month for only 99 cents at gaia.com/positivehead. That's spelled GAIA.com/positivehead. Check it out. All right, all you positive heads, welcome back to another episode. So happy to be here with you all, as always, and always. It's an honor to connect, share, grow, explore, etc., etc. I would like to just start off by reading a review on iTunes. You guys know I love my reviews. They help not only to fuel my fire and continue this labor of love, but also help us to reach new people. And we're getting up there, almost 400 amazing reviews. Well, maybe there's a couple of them that weren't so amazing, but that's okay. You got to have contrast, right? And this one came in by Vienna Doc, and Vienna Doc said exactly what I was looking for. Amazing podcast that really does do wonders in changing how you think. I'm a newer listener, but already a loyal one. Thank you for showing perspectives that I might not think of on my own. Listening to this brightens my day. Oh, thank you, Vienna Doc, for taking the time to brighten my day and complete the circle of love I'm putting out into the world, and also helping us to reach others. So, if you haven't taken the time to review on iTunes, please do so. I'd love you long time. And if not, that's okay too. But I would definitely appreciate it. And also, if you're not on the Facebook group, Positive Heads with an S, wonderful group, wonderful place to connect with other listeners and open up about anything maybe that you don't want publicly out there to the rest of Facebook world. It's private for that reason, so people can sort of open up, get intimate if they so desire, and just, share, uplift, help others. It's, it's an awesome place on the interwebs, so we'd love to see you there. Other than that, let's see. What are we going to talk about today? Oh, questions. So that's one other thing. I'm going to address a couple questions today, and or one question. And you guys know I love getting questions. It's a great way for us to co-create the content on the show, for you to play a role and sort of helping to steer what we talk about. And you can, of course, write questions through the Facebook group or through positivehead.com, or to me directly, Brandon@positivehead.com is my email. So, this particular question is from a lovely listener, Kelsey. Kelsey was asking about some visits to her dream. She says, I keep having addicts visit me through my dreams that have passed away from drug overdoses. One I knew, but the other one I barely knew. But they have both been sending me a ton, in all caps, of love in my dreams, and I feel it still when I wake up. Also, I recently found that my husband is an alcoholic and is 4 months sober now with the help of AA and spirituality. But my dad is an alcoholic and stopped drinking when I was 4 years old, and he's never told me this until now. But he said he believes he died when I was 4 and woke up to me shaking him, and he thinks he was reborn and given a second chance. Hasn't had a drink in 26 years. I wonder why I'm so tied to addicts. Seems to be a pattern for me. So, and that's a question mark, I wonder why. So I'm certainly not the expert dream interpreter, but I do like to take cracks at it. And I find I believe I get better at it the more I do it, like anything in life, right? And so, the fact that you have addicts that are coming to you in your dreams, they're sending you a ton of love. Then you share the story of, your husband that you recently found out. So here's this thing that even sort of behind the scenes that's been hidden from you. Interesting. Husband and father, same story, right? It was hidden from you and then it came out. And I find it interesting that you're the one who, or you were part of your dad's awakening, right? He thought he was dead. You shook him and he woke up, and that was where he turned everything around. So, symbolically, what would that suggest? Well, you're getting a ton of love from people who passed. They're supporting you energetically. You've started shaking people awake who have this issue when you were 4 years old. And so this is what it seems to me that, you obviously have an energetic tie to people struggling with this issue. Soul contract work, something, who knows karmically, however that all pans out. I don't have that answer, but definitely it's an obvious tie there, right? And I imagine you also have medicine for them, right? That's a part of your path. So I think it would be interesting for you to continue to explore this whole path and see where it leads and see if there's, of course, if you feel so inspired and called, maybe you don't, and that's okay too. But it seems like you have support from people who have, crossed from this issue, which plagues so many people on this planet, right? There's no shortage of need for, people who can provide medicine, energetically and otherwise to people struggling this way. So that's just sort of my 2 cents. My intuition on it is you have a path that is tied to this. So I would encourage you to explore that path. Or not if you don't feel it, but that's what I feel. So, hope that helps a little bit, Kelsey. And thank you for writing in. And let's see here. What else do I want to talk about today? Well, I was talking to someone else a little bit about this guy at Burning Man who jumped into the fire. And I'm just very intrigued by what was his state. And I've talked about it a little bit before. And I was asking, this person had recently met Aaron Mitchell is his name and interacted with him. And so I was asking about it. And, her response was an interesting one. She basically said she did not want to share, anything about what her experience was with him, and that she didn't want to, there's a lot of misinformation floating around about him and his death. And she didn't want to contribute to the gossip, if that makes sense. And I thought that was really, a great perspective. And of course, I understand that fully. And it kind of got me thinking about the quote by Eleanor Roosevelt that I may even have read at some point in the past on the show. But Eleanor said, "Great minds discuss ideas, average minds discuss events, and small minds discuss people." And, it's one of those things where it's so easy for us all to fall into gossiping about someone. And, it's one of those, just take that for a moment and apply it to your own life and think, okay, especially, you think at work or school or any of these places, how much gossip pervades everything, and how much are we engaging in that sort of thing? Are we discussing people in a negative? And of course, you can discuss people in a very positive light too, but in general, how much negative discussion goes on and gossip about people. So I would encourage anyone, and this sort of is a follow-up to what we talked about on the last podcast a couple days ago, our daily podcast on Tuesday, changing your state. How do you get into a heightened state? In that being, of course, the most important thing that you can do. Well, if you're ever gossiping about people or talking about something, in a negative light, what is your state? What are you doing in that moment? You're lowering your vibration. You're lowering the vibration of everyone around you. And so I think it's something. It's a great quote, in my opinion. Something that for us to check in on regularly, to touch base with. What am I doing? What have I been doing today or this last week or this last month? Constantly check in. Am I discussing things that are low vibration? Am I discussing people, judging people, any of those sorts of things? And like I said, it doesn't mean, I don't think Eleanor meant here you can't talk about people ever. Certainly in a way that's uplifting is wonderful, right? But in general, what she's saying is let's not get caught up on all the gossip and rumors and things like that. Let's sort of float above that stuff. And so I just wanted to mention that because it bubbled up. And as you guys know, the great thing about these daily episodes, anything that's bubbling up in my world instantly is regurgitated back out to you. And it's like, just a great thing for us to continually do. Let's touch base. Where are we at? Are we focusing on small-minded discussions or amazing, uplifting, inspiring, things that are an inspiration in spirit, right? And so, just check in. May the spirit of Eleanor be floating on your shoulder at all times as you check in with this quote and where you're at. And then, how can you, of course, continue to raise your vibration? How can you stay in a state that is going to yield more of what we want to see in our life? And, as I talked about it a couple days ago, there's another clip that I want to share that talks about this and a technique for doing this that Tony Robbins kind of stepped everyone through, a little guided technique on the Tim Ferriss podcast. I found this clip on Kyle Kirschbaum's YouTube page. It's called Live in a Beautiful State. And let's take a listen to Tony.
There's a scientific set of scientific studies that show that when your mind and your heart actually has hormones that affect the way your brain functions. It's not just your brain affecting your heart. They interact. When they're in alignment, human beings are able to resolve internal conflicts. Often the conflicts we have are between our conscious and unconscious mind, between our mind and our heart, often as an example. And if I were to put electrodes on your brain and on your heart, as you well know, an EEG and EKG, we could see that they're both in your normal state, pretty jagged up and down, and they don't look anything like each other. But if all you do is breathe, put your hands on your heart physically, and anyone listening, let's go ahead and do this right now in a second, but I'll first tell you what we're going to do. You put both your hands on your heart physically and you feel your heart. You put all your focus in your heart. You breathe into your heart and you feel gratitude for 2 minutes where you think of 3 events in your life you feel grateful for and you step in and feel it. At the end of 2 minutes, you are in what I call a beautiful state because I can look at your EEG and EKG and it's dramatic. First, they aren't jagged, they're rounded, but what's mind-boggling, and I'm sure you probably know this, Tim, they literally sync up. They become identical. They look like they're tracing each other. And when that happens, it's not just your mind. I always tell people, get in your head, you're dead. Your mind's great for strategy, but it'll never make you enjoy your life. It'll never let you enjoy the taste of an apple because it'll go, is it organic? Where did it come from? You know what I mean? Versus your heart, which can bring the juice of anything back to you. So what really I'm trying to do with everyone in this situation is I'm trying to show them how to line these up. And it's really easy. So if you want to do it right now and you want to test that it works, let's do this. And Tim, you can do this with me if you'd like to.
Sure.
Think of a situation. You might not have any in your life, Tim. You're so crazy in this area and so on top of it. But most of us have situations where there are, for all of you listening, a place where you have some unfinished business. Maybe
that's the story of my life, Tony.
Okay, well, I mean, a story of all our lives, right? That's just being human, right? But it's a place where there's something that you should have handled and you haven't handled it with a person or situation. It stresses you out. And so what we tend to do is focus on other stuff because we don't want to have to deal with that because it's stressful, because it's painful. And so think of something that on a 0 to 10 scale where 10 is totally stressed out and 0 is not at all. Pick something that's unfinished business in your business or personal life with something or someone, and it's at least a 7, 8, 9, or a 10. just so you can see that this really works. Now, by the way, there are hundreds of ways to do this. I'm just going to give you this one because we can do it in 2 minutes, right? So I'm hoping, Tim, do you have one by chance?
I do.
You don't have to tell me the content. Okay, perfect. You don't have to tell me the content. No one else tells the content. All right, everyone, if you would, just for a moment, I don't have any music in the background, which I do to enhance this normally, but let's just do it. Put both your hands on your heart and physically breathe deep into your heart. And as you're breathing deep in your heart, feel the strength of your heart. Feel the power of your heart. Feel the beauty of your heart. What are you proud or grateful that your heart has guided you to do or to give or to feel or to enjoy? And feel the strength of your heart. Breathe into it. Feel the blood flow, the oxygen. And feel grateful for your heart first. Because think about it. You didn't have to earn this heart. It was given to you. You didn't have to prove your value or your worth. You didn't have to accomplish anything. Something loved you enough to give you the gift of life. And as long as this heart is beating, you have that gift and you live. It beats 100,000 times a day. It pumps blood through 60,000 miles of blood vessels. You put them end to end. They go around the earth twice at the equator. That's what's inside every one of us. And you don't have to think about it. What a gift. So as you breathe in your heart, feeling your powerful heart, I want you just for a moment, we're going to think of 3, but just think first of one event in your life, one experience, one moment that you could feel so grateful for if you wanted to. A magic moment. A sacred moment, a sexy moment, a beautiful moment, a loving moment, any moment that really you could feel grateful for if you wanted to right now. And then step into that memory for a minute. Like step in your body as if you were there. See what you would have saw then as if you're there, or hear what you'd hear back then, or breathe the way you were breathing back then. And if you filled up with that sense of gratitude for that moment, how do you smile when you feel so grateful or so thankful? What's the look in your eyes? How do you breathe? What's the look in your face when you feel really, really grateful? And just fill it up, fill up with gratitude. The reason we use gratitude, by the way, is the 2 emotions that mess us up most is anger and fear. And you can't be grateful and angry simultaneously. It's the antidote. You can't be fearful and angry simultaneously. So fill up with the gratitude. Now think of a second moment you could feel truly grateful for. And again, breathe deep in your heart. Feel that power. Just think of any other moment. It could be from your childhood or adulthood. It could be last week. It could be today. It could be 10 years ago. Any moment that you could just truly feel like that was grace. That was magical. That was beautiful. That's magnificent. Something that gives you the feeling of tremendous gratitude if you really focused on it. Breathe it, feel it, enjoy it, fill up with gratitude. And then finally, think of a third moment you can feel truly grateful for. Step in it, see it, feel it, be there. Feel the gratitude. What were you so grateful for? What are you grateful for? And then maybe throw one extra one in. Think of a coincidence. We all love when life happens for us, not to us. We love coincidences because we didn't do anything. Something happened for us. You were going to do one thing and you met somebody that you developed a partnership with or became a friend or a lover or the love of your life, or maybe a business opportunity came from a coincidence, or an insight came from a coincidence that's been so valuable in your life, something you're grateful for. What's the coincidence that led to something you're so grateful for? And feel the gratitude for that. And was it a coincidence or were you guided? Now, as you breathe in your heart, you've been doing this for about 2 minutes. Keep breathing. Keep feeling it, feeling grateful. Let's use this state to solve the problem state. So the easy way to do that is keep breathing in your heart, stay out of your head, in your heart, and think of that situation that's unfinished business that stressed you out in the past. But keep breathing this beautiful state and ask yourself this question. Ask yourself, all I need to focus on in that situation, all I need to focus on, all I need to remember is what? Your heart knows. all I need to focus on, all I need to remember, all I need to do in that situation is what? Your heart knows the answer. All I need to focus on, all I need to remember, all I need to do is
So I absolutely love this. I don't know if you guys were driving, you probably, as you're listening, you couldn't do this, but I would encourage you to come back. And those of you who did actually follow along with Tony, how uplifted do you feel? How, what a heightened state this puts you in. Focusing on gratitude, right? It is the antidote to anger and fear. This is the medicine, the ultimate medicine, moving into that state of appreciation and gratefulness. It made me think of the Heart Math interview I did a while back, or the president of Heart Math, Deborah Roseman, was on, and talking. If you guys want to hear more about the subject and how the heart and brain can sync up, and how the heart actually affects the brain and sends more signals to the brain than the brain does to the heart, it's fascinating when you understand this. So you can actually check out that interview I did a while back, number 166 with Deborah Roseman. But it just when the heart and brain are in alignment, and isn't it powerful for those of you who love the scientific perspective and want to bring it back to science? When you can see on an EEG that feeling gratitude, like we just did, syncs up your brain and heart. What a powerful tool this is. How simple, but how powerful, and Tony said, get in your head and you're dead. I love that. It's all about moving into a more heart-centered state. And going back to what I was talking about earlier, if we're talking, gossiping and talking about small talk about things that aren't very high vibration, certainly not resonating with the energy of gratitude, well, we're cutting ourselves off from these more heightened states. When you do have these heightened states, or get into these heightened states, you can start achieving things that are absolutely, fascinating. I had someone write in recently, Molly, who was, writing in, talking about, going from just a normal everyday life to all of a sudden having a radical, what she thinks is like a Kundalini awakening, energies going up and down her spine, traveling interdimensionally at night. And it just came out of nowhere. Well, I would guess, that if Molly was in a state of constantly gossiping and being negative and all those things, she probably would not have entered into this state of awakening that she entered into, this very profound experience that, we've had others. I actually had someone on the show a while back who talked about having the same type of experience. And, so, now granted, those experiences can be pretty heavy too, I guess you would say. They can be intense, certainly not for the faint of heart, but also super empowering and, change your world. Like in her case, she said, my whole world's changed, like just like that. Well, if you are open to that sort of thing or want that sort of thing, as I think a lot of us do, a lot of listeners do, certainly being in a state of gratitude, a heightened vibrational state, is going to open the potentiality for that sort of thing much more readily. So let's check in. Let's have the little spirit of Eleanor on our shoulder, always checking in. Where are we at? What are we resonating with? What vibrational pools are we playing in? And who knows what magic will unfold from there, right? Well, guys, this has been magical as always to connect, share, ponder with you all. I do love you all so much. I have a song to leave you with. This is Escape, ESCPE. The song is Vagary. I love it. Hope you do too. Until next time, journey well. Love you all. Also, if you're craving more consciousness elevating content, be sure to check out Gaia, which is my personal go-to source for streaming consciousness content on the web, where you can stream an incredible 7,000 plus exclusive videos covering 5,000 years of wisdom. As you all hear me constantly say, it's a daily conscious effort to maintain an elevated vibration. And if you're looking to journey deep down the rabbit hole to do so, then Gaia is the best place I know of to do it, period. And you can sign up for your first month for only 99 cents at gaia.com/positivehead. That's spelled GAIA.com/positivehead. Check it out.